Really proud of this football team this week for what we were able to do to get on the road and to go get a win at North Texas, to get a conference win on the road. I think anytime you win a conference game on the road, it's huge. But just the way that they competed, I thought they were physical. I thought they were really focused and dialed in. And we talked about the great challenge for the first three games, all being against bowl teams, all on the road, and how hard that was going to be. And the way that this team answered the bell to go on the road for the third week in a row after getting in at, you're getting in at, about 3 in the morning for the last couple weeks. And for them to kind of get it geared back up and go on the road again in a short week and go play North Texas, I'm really proud of the things that they were able to do. Defensively, I thought it was one of our better games. When you start a game with 6 3-and-outs, when you give up 26 yards in the first half, I think is rather impressive. You look at it, our ones really only gave up 7 points, and that came in the third quarter. I thought our defense played a really good football game. I think obviously we can still get better in some areas, but I thought schematically, the effort, the attitude, the way they were flying around, the way they were making some plays on defense, tackled very well. Really pleased with the way we played this game on defense. Offensively, again, we're off to a little bit of a slow start offensively. It was 0-0 in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, but then really started to come to life, started throwing the ball much better. I thought we threw and caught it very well at a 64% clip. I thought some guys really played well there, but the difference to me was able to hit 2 big plays for scores, and we were 4 for 4 with touchdowns when we got into the red zone at 100% touchdowns in the red zone. And that's one of the formulas on how you win football games. You've got to put the ball in the end zone when you're down there in the red zone, and I thought they did a really nice job. I thought some guys that really played well. I thought on the offensive side of the ball, I really liked the way Cody Sokol's seeing the field, the way he's managing the game, the way he's protecting the football. I think he's doing a really nice job. He's throwing the ball very accurately and really making the passing game kind of fun to watch and fun to be part of right now. And then you've got some of those receivers we've been talking about, Sterling and Paul and Trent Taylor and Hunter Lee. I think really have done a nice job. It was nice to see Carlos Henderson get out there and be able to make some plays and bring his speed and athleticism, but it was his first college game. I think it's still moving pretty fast for him, and excited to see him continue to get work and be one of those guys that we continue to bring along and develop as a wide receiver. But really like what those guys are doing. Offensive line, I thought Darryl Brown played one of his best games yet at left tackle. I like what Kirby Wixon and Brunson and David Mahaffey are doing in the middle. I thought they played very well. I can't say enough positive things about Kenneth Dixon other than what a competitor. He's one of those guys that he gets as excited about running a route and taking people away. And we threw a touchdown pass, and he came running off the field, and he said, "Coach, wait till you see that fake that brought those guys with me that made that wide open." I mean, he loves to play the game, and he's such a great competitor. He plays physical, he plays hard, he never wants to come out of the game. I thought he played a really nice game. And so overall, there were a lot of good things on offense, but I still think we have a long way to go to be the type of offense we want to be. And I still continue to say, and will continue to say, as we go through the first 6 games, we will be a work in progress. And we've got to continue to get better at some things and improve. And I think the biggest battle that we have right now, as it was in the first 3 weeks, is not about our opponents, it's about us. It's about us playing the type of game that we are capable of playing, and I think we're still a long way away offensively from being able to put that together. Defensively, some guys that played really well. Houston Bates, I thought, played a great game at the defensive end position. Really like what he's doing. He's smart, he's intelligent, he's playing within the system and doing some great things. Vernon Butler probably played his best game to date. Aaron Brown continues to play very well, the walk-on defensive lineman who has played end and tackle for us and done some really good things. He's played very well, and I thought Michael Schrang played a really good game. A linebacker, Bo Feet, continues to get better and better each and every week, and is really you saw him when he got an opportunity to get the start last week. You really saw him start to, he's really flourishing, he's really growing, and I think he just keeps getting better and better and doing a really nice job. Mitch Villamez played very well, and again, C.J. Cleveland, 2 weeks in a row now, has played a great game, who is the former walk-on who has done some really good things. At safety, I think those three safeties are playing really well. I think Kentrell Bryce has really become an excellent football player. He's doing a lot of the little things the right way. He's playing physical. He's playing smart. He's running around. He's a leader on that defense, and I really like the things he's doing. Xavier Woods is doing a very nice job. Grogan played very well in this game. The corners, I think Adarius Barnes played his best game to date, as well as Bryson Abraham. There was a couple breakdowns on defense that really weren't exploited that we got to get better at. But overall, I like the way that this team is competing and some of the things that they're doing. I thought on special teams, we kicked the ball much better with our kickoffs and our punts, and it wasn't so much the distance as much as it was direction. I think we're kicking the ball much better, and some guys are doing some really good things on special teams, and that is, again, starting to come together. I like what I see right now. I like the growth, but we're certainly not where we need to be, and we've got a big challenge to continue to grow as we move forward after the first quarter of the season, with 1/4 of the season being over. With Northwestern State this weekend, having the opportunity to get into this game, it's really, we had a kind of a history lesson on this game yesterday with the team. It's really an honor to have the opportunity to play both Lafayette and Northwestern State, and I say that because you look at it, these are the two longest running rivalries that we have at Louisiana Tech, the two teams that we've played the most in school history, and with this game not being played in 20 years, it is an honor to have an opportunity when you start to look at the history and the length and the first game, the state fair game, everything that goes along with this. So we're excited to have the opportunity to participate in it. I think Coach Thomas has done an excellent job, and he's got a really good football team. And I say that with all sincerity, especially with what they're doing right now on the offensive side of the ball. I think this will be the best throwing football team that we've played. And I say that, I mean, you look last week, they went 30 for 35 throwing the ball. They're really efficient. They've got their quarterback is playing excellent. I really like some of the things that Zach is doing right now. He is a great manager of the game. He protects the ball. He doesn't put it in danger. He throws it very well. He's poised. He's an upperclassman. He's been there, was a junior college player, and I think he's doing an excellent job of running this offense. And you look at what they're putting up point-wise and some of the things that they're doing is really impressive. He's got 3 really good targets to throw to. All 3 are very impressive when you start to look at it. 7, 11, and 15. We're going on numbers because that's what we've been watching for the last 48 hours pretty much. Really impressed with what they do. They have, I know 15 was one of the fastest players in the country coming out. He told me he was like the 8th fastest 60-meter guy in the country coming out of high school. He's got speed and athleticism. I just think they have a really good combination right now in chemistry and what they're doing throwing the ball, which is going to be probably one of the biggest tests we've had in the back end and the secondary coming into this week. I think defensively, they do a very nice job. Big 99 in the middle is a force. I mean, you watch him against Baylor, you watch him against Southern. He does a great job up inside with their defensive line. I think from a structure standpoint, their most experience is in the secondary. They started playing a lot of man early, but you can see they gave up a couple big plays, and so they have gone to a little bit more of a 2-shell. They give you some multiple fronts. I really don't know what we're going to get defensively. We have to prepare pretty much for everything we've seen in the first 3 games, which is about 5 different fronts and a lot of different coverages. But it's going to be great to be back home. Excited to come home for the first time. We've been kind of with a road warrior battle cry after our last 2 wins. Somebody texted me and said, let's cancel all home games because we've won the last 2 on the road. But I will say that I, for one, am really excited about having the opportunity to come back and play at home. I know there's a lot of excitement with this game and this rivalry being renewed and having the opportunity to play it again. And I would encourage everybody to come out to support this team. I think it means an awful lot to these players, and to have the opportunity to come home for the first week is really important to us. So excited about what we're looking at this week.
Coach, can you talk about your rolling of the offensive line, how many guys you've played, and did you expect to roll them this much going into the season?
We've said that we want to play as many as we can. When you look on the defensive line, we've been talking about playing 2 deep on the defensive line, and we haven't rolled many offensive line because we didn't feel like we had enough to roll. We felt like the drop-off between 1s and 2s was a little too great, but when you look at the the three guys that have not traditionally started here in the first three games, when you look at the way the Jens Danielson is playing and the experience that he's gaining, and then with Wixon and Mahaffey both having the opportunity to, Wixon got to start, and Mahaffey, they're all gaining experience. And so having the opportunity to keep fresh people in there, I think means a lot. And we've always talked about if we can get 8 or 9 guys experience, and we're continuing to bring along Josh Robinson, who I think is getting better and better and getting closer to be one of those guys that has an opportunity to get into the rotation, and then Chris Aye, the redshirt freshman. And those are the 10 that we've really been working with and trying to continually bring along and develop. But I'd like to play as many as I could to keep fresh bodies in there. And if we were to have an injury, that somebody's stepping into a situation with some experience, because this is when you really want to get it, especially gain experience, is when you're in your non-conference race.
How important is it for next season? I mean, I hate to talk about the next season with you're only in game 4, but when you had last year with so few experienced players, and the next year with as many as you're going to have on the offensive line.
Right. Well, and you look at out of the eight, I think 3 of them graduate. 3 graduate, and Trey Carter, Greenwald, and Mitchell Bell, and then everybody else is back. And so you're going to have 5 guys back that have played a lot of time, where last year we lost 3, the year before that we lost 4. So to have everybody back with experience, I think that will mean a lot. And I think continue to recruit. When you look at guys like Shane Carpenter that are redshirting right now, having the opportunity to bring him in, it's a process and building it. And I think right now Matt Moore has really done a nice job in building that offensive line.
After 2 emotional wins, any fear of a letdown against a Division I AA opponent?
You know, no, I don't. Like we've talked about, this is about us, and it's not about us because we're playing Northwestern State. It was about us going to Lafayette. It was about us going to North Texas. We've got so many things in house that we have to clean up. And early I talked about all the new faces and how young we were and how inexperienced we were. And we still, I mean, to say a guy has started 3 games does not make him a 7-year seasoned vet. I mean, we're still growing, we're still learning, we're still getting better, we're improving. We are getting better as a football team as this goes on, and I think that's the really important issue here, because as we talked about, nobody's gone to a bowl with 2 wins, nobody's won a conference championship with 2 wins. We haven't accomplished anything at this point. We got 2 great wins. Proud of the way this team has fought and competed to get to this point, but we got to make sure we stay focused with what we have to get done. And there's plenty, and I think these players will tell you, there's plenty of things that we can improve on as a football team moving forward. So I think the competition continues to be against ourselves. That we can continually stay focused and with what we have termed kind of a do-your-job mentality, which we are getting better at. But I think that's going to be the important thing, is staying focused on us.
Skip, you talk about development, kind of, I guess, a footnote to what Aaron says, and you talk about these first 6 weeks being a better football team. Do you think where you are now through 3 is where you thought you'd be, or are you a little ahead of the curve?
I had said, I mean, from a win-loss record, I'm excited about where we are. We had said that these last 2 games were pivotal. And if you went 1-1 in them, that'd be great. But I mean, if you can find a way to go 2-0, so I'm really excited about where we are right now from a win-loss standpoint. At being 2-1 with our loss at Oklahoma, and for these players to go on the road and do what they've done the last 2 weeks. Are we where we thought we were? I think Cody Sokol is much better than I thought he would be. I felt like, in talking to everybody, he was going to be a really good quarterback, and watching him go through camp, his understanding of football, I won't say our offense because he was just learning it when he got here, but his understanding of football, the way he sees the field and his decision making, I've really been impressed with what he's done to this point. And so I'm really excited about that. And then some of the big play potential, I think having Paul Turner healthy and seeing what he's bringing to the offense with 3 catches last week, 2 of them touchdowns, with what Sterling Griffin has done with an entire off season for the first time in his career, the way he's got his legs under him, to see what Trent and Hunter are doing. Hunter's become a much bigger part of this offense than he was a year ago, to see what some of those receivers are doing on the perimeter. I like where we are. I like the way it's coming with the depth on the offensive line. I like the way the defense has picked everything up. Did I feel like, oh yeah, we'd be here? No, I can't say that, but I think we're getting better. We are getting better, and I think that's going to be the battle cry, continue to be the battle cry for at least these next 4 weeks. We got to keep improving through the first half.
I was going to ask you about big plays too, because obviously that's going to open up that run game. They got to respect you deep now.
And that was the negative to a year ago. A year ago, we weren't able to execute the big plays, whether it was running it, whether it was throwing it, whether it was catching it, or protecting it. We had a lot of things we had to get straight. But I think those big plays are definitely something that we've emphasized and something that we have tried to do. When you look at being able to put a tight end and a fullback in, protect your quarterback a little bit more, to buy a little bit more time to throw some of those deep balls. And then the way Cody is throwing the deep ball right now, I think has really been, that's been a big part of it. And that's one of the reasons we've sat here with the last 2 wins, is because we've been very efficient in the red zone. We have made some big play touchdowns, and we have not given up big play touchdowns. And I think that's a testament to our defense and Coach Diaz.
You only have 7 points in the first quarter through 3 games. What do you attribute the slow start to?
I don't know, Cody, what do you attribute our slow start to? I look at it, Oklahoma, I don't know. I mean, we weren't, I like the way, I think Cody's very focused and dialed in early in the games. He hadn't made a bad read yet, has not thrown the ball. I don't know if he needs to get hit a couple times to get competitive and stand in the pocket and start to make some of the throws that he's making later in the game. But I certainly think the defense has started fast. I think they've done a very nice job. You can't say they didn't with 6 3-and-outs. But offensively, it seems like it takes us a little bit to get going. But once we get rolling, get a beat on what somebody's doing to us, and Cody gets tied in, and those receivers start making plays, it's been fun to watch.
How important, you talk about getting dialed in, has it been with your relationship with the guys in the booth? As you're calling the plays on the field, how good have they been during the game to make adjustments?
Well, and I've talked about, Tony Peterson's a seasoned vet. He's been a coordinator for 7 years in the Big Ten. He's done this. He's coached the quarterbacks. He's been an offensive coordinator. He understands it. He gets it. And I think really the two of us we've fed a lot off each other. I rely heavily on the staff. It's not just calling a play, but it's what are they doing? How are they doing? What are they doing to this set? Maybe we should come back with this. The communication with Tony, with Coach Jaluk is in the box, who played as a secondary, who played as a defensive back, understands coverages. For him to be up in the box kind of with his view of the back end, and then with Tony having the opportunity to kind of focus more on the point of attack and the run and pass. I think it's all part of the equation that puts it together. Calling plays is more than just a play caller. A lot of variables go into it, and there are a lot of things that make the wheels on the bus go round. And we've got a great team, and we got a lot of very unselfish coaches without a lot of egos that just want to do what we have to do to get this thing straight and win as many games as we can, and we're all working hard towards that purpose.
Defensively, y'all have made such strides since OU. Now, granted, OU is a very good football team. We've seen that since week 1. But you talked about how your defense did not play very disciplined in that first game. Did you think it was going to be as easy as it's been to say, hey guys, go play disciplined, and they've done it?
Well, we talked the week after about the one thing that really helped us get everybody's attention on defense was when you take those, when Coach Diaz and the defensive staff took about 15 plays where everybody was in their gap and everybody did what they were supposed to do, we gave up like 2 yards of carry. I mean, it was really impressive. You watch that video and go, wow, that team's really good. But then you pull out the next 15 where 2 guys aren't in their gap and you're giving up 15 yards of carry and you don't look very good. And I think that teaching moment off of the OU film allowed this team to really buy in to say, you know what, hey, we can be pretty good. I think it was a vote of confidence. You can't say you lose by, 48-16 or something like that in that game. You can't say you lose by that many points, but really it was a great learning experience for you. But I think it helped build confidence because they saw that when they did what they were supposed to do, we could be pretty good. And I think it really catapulted us forward rather than playing an easy win early in the season, going and playing against a team of that caliber. I think helped everybody buy in and go, hey, you know what? We can do this. I mean, we can play at this level. We gotta clean some things up, and they've really done a nice job.
How would you compare the offense through 3 games to last year through 3 games?
Well, productivity-wise, it's not even close. I mean, productivity-wise, as far as scoring points, a big part of that, like I said, is being able to make the big plays and having a passing game. A lot of new faces are out there. Your quarterback's new. A lot of your offensive linemen are new. You've got Paul Turner's new, Carlos is new. You've got a lot of new faces. Trent Taylor's got a year under his belt. Sterling's been here for a year. I think there's just a lot more of a comfort level, and I think we're much better than we were a year ago. A year ago, it was hard for everybody. It was hard for our players to go through it. It was hard for our fans to go through it. It was hard for our coaches to go through it. And it was hard to watch offensively a year ago. There were times where it wasn't a lot of fun for anybody involved. But it's one of the things that I love about this football team and the progress that we've made and a lot of the new guys that have come in here and some of the things that they're doing for us right now. So I would say, I don't know how you feel, but I feel it's completely different than it was a year ago.
I want to go back to one point you made earlier, saying that you don't think this team has accomplished much. I know you're using the long term to look
Right.
at that, but with an opportunity to go 3-1, we've talked about the schedule so much.
Yes.
That has to be a big accomplishment if you can go 3-1 next week?
Yeah, when asked the question about how I feel about where we are right now, I love where we are from a record standpoint. I love what these players have been able to go out and accomplish on the field and get done. I love where we are. The point saying we haven't accomplished much, that nobody's won a bowl game with 2 wins or gone to a bowl game with 2 wins. To this point, we can't pat ourselves on the back. We're going to wait till the end of the season. We're going to look in the rearview mirror and go, you know what? This was a fun year. I mean, we got an awful lot done, and I love where we are being 2-1 right now, going into this game. But I do think we have a long way to go, or it will be a short-lived fantasy that we're in, and we've got to keep getting better because we do have some things right now that if we don't clean up, they're going to catch up to us and they're going to get us beat in the future.
Like what?
Consistency offensively. We're not near as consistent as we need to be, especially in the run game. We're too hit and miss. We average 3.3 yards per rush. Now, some of that is they're loading the box, and so there aren't a lot of big runs, but what the recipient is the passing game and some of the play action passes that are going for big plays. But I think we've got to do that better. I mean, I like the way we're throwing and catching the ball, but I think we got to get more consistent as an offensive football team. I think the same thing defensively. I think we've got to develop depth with our twos. When you look at our twos have had 4 series in the last 2 weeks. I believe I'm accurate in making this comment. They've had 4 series in the last 2 weeks and have given up 28 points that have not made a first down. And that has been frustrating. When you look at the score with 4 minutes to go, it's 42-7, and your ones have been out on the field doing a great job, and you put your twos out there. You want to be able to make first downs and control the ball to eat up the clock and finish the game. And if your defense does have to go out there, you'd like to get off the field. Unfortunately, they've driven the field twice against us, and it makes the numbers look a little, all of a sudden it's 42-21 instead of 42-7. The scary part about that is those guys are 1 play away from starting for us. I mean, and that's why I think developing depth on this team is a huge issue for us right now. And one of the things that we've got to continue to do and play a lot of people on the offensive line and play some more receivers and getting a little bit more depth on this football team.
Coach, you had 2 statement wins on the field. Do you think this is a statement game for the fans? Well, it's your home opener and what you guys have done over the last 2 weeks.
I don't know. I'd say a statement game. I mean, I know it's a rivalry game, and I know it means a lot to a lot of people that have been part of this school for 50, 60 years. When you look at, even when I talked about Lafayette as a rivalry game last week or 2 weeks ago, with us playing them 86 times, I believe it was at that point. Everybody was quick to point out it's like Northwestern's our rival, not Lafayette, and I know this is a rivalry game, and this has been billed that way as the state fair game and the history and everything that goes through it, and that's why I wanted our players to understand that the tradition in this series, the tradition in this rivalry between these 2 schools, and understand what we're walking into and not playing for the last 20 years and then bringing this game back together and having a chance to play in it. Like I said, I think it's going to be fun for everybody. So I don't know that I'd say statement game at this point. We're really excited about coming home.
I was talking in terms of the fans rallying behind this program and the number of fans that could come out.
I do. I think it's going to be important to a lot of people, and I think Northwestern will travel well up here. And I think it'll be a fun atmosphere. I think it'll be a great environment. That's why I encourage everybody to come out to this game. I think it'll be a great weekend. I think it'll be a great weekend here in Ruston, and I think it'll be a pretty electric atmosphere.
Skip, Patrick mentioned about what we're going to do as far as moving the team back over to the west side.
Yes.
Talk to people who might understand the importance of this. In fact, we're covering up the first 5 rows. Why it's important from a competitive standpoint in order to do that? Well,
being on the press box side is huge, and it's not so much. Some people go, "What, you don't want to be in the sun?" It's not so much the sun. I mean, as much as it is when signals are a big part of this game. Signaling in plays, defenses, and people stealing signals. As I know nobody ethically would stoop to that level. But, sometimes, occasionally it might occur. And so I think it's important when you have the opportunity to do all your signaling with your body being able to signal it, not people having 3 coaches with binoculars on you, because it is an advantage defensively when you know what play they're going to run offensively. It can be a large advantage, and so I think to have the opportunity to be able to signal, to be able to hide those signals with the press box at your back rather than having everybody look at you. You've seen a lot of people have asked, what is that big sail that the defense carries around with them on the sideline? It's to try and hide as much as we can the signals and what we're trying to do, and so people don't know when you're in man zone, when you're blitzing, 4 down, 3 down, and some of the things you're doing. So I think that's definitely a big part of it. I really enjoyed having the students. I really enjoyed having the students right there behind us. Our student body's awesome. They've been great. They've been loud. But I think it'll be even better to have our opponents sitting there with them right behind them, with the noise that they make. And so I think I really encourage the students to come out. I'm excited to come home. As Dorothy said, there's no place like home, and we're excited to finally have the opportunity to be here in Joe Stadium.
Two housekeeping issues.
Yep.
Dora and Pishon aren't on the 2 deep. What's the deal with those two?
Dora right now has been injured. He completed the game at Lafayette and had an injury to his foot, and so he has not practiced for the last 2 weeks. Prognosis is probably another week or 2. We'll probably get a little bit better idea next week, but I do not expect him to play in this game this weekend. And Malcolm Pishon has been suspended indefinitely. That suspension came about a week and a half ago. He is not practicing with the team, and he is not part of the team at this point.
Where does that leave you depth-wise with those 2 guys out?
That's where a guy like Aaron Brown has stepped in as a walk-on and has really had some great minutes for us and has graded a winner the last 2 weeks and has played very well. That's why Schrang has played a much larger role for us right now. Aaron Brown has played a much larger role for us. You looked at who else was it? Taylor, who started at defensive end for us last week in place of Dora. And then, up front on the defensive line, that's why you're seeing guys like not only Vern Butler and McKinney and Brooks, but Tyler Porter got a chance to play. Jeremy Long has had a chance to play. Hakeem Gray has got some minutes. I mean, a lot of those guys are stepping in and doing a nice job. I mean, it's one of those things that's unfortunate, but you know what? You got to close ranks and you got to march on. And that's what this football team is doing right now.
This is your 3rd suspension, 3 games in. Any worries there? I mean, that's somewhat alarming, I guess, with being the 3rd suspension this early in the season.
No, they're 18 to 22-year-olds, and you know what? They're going to make mistakes, and they make mistakes. They're going to understand that it's an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to play for Louisiana Tech, and there's a certain behavior that's expected for you to represent this program, and if you don't, it can be taken away from you. And I think it's a great lesson for these young men to learn. I'm certainly not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but where it was always told to me that discipline is not what you do to somebody, but it's what you do for somebody. And so right now, I think these are great learning lessons for these young men, and we certainly hope that it will help them make better decisions as we move on into the future to be better people, better students, better husbands, better fathers, as they continue to grow up and mature.